difficult right at the beginning, at the announcement of a paper mill closing, to convince everybody that there was a real business case. And I first of all want to say absolutely publicly, the reason this business case is where it is today is a few parties had, if you excuse my English, had the balls to get behind a potential business case, which we see a lot of. They got behind it, they got committed, they got organised. Those parties were our regional joint authority in Kaino, Kainoliitto. Actually, it was Maakunta-Kuntayhtymä, and if you think that was good pronunciation, you have no idea how hard that was. Also, UPM, the landowner, I think it's called Corporate Social Responsibility. They saw what was happening and what impact it had locally. They got behind it, but at the same time, they saw the commercial potential of their real estate. Of course, that's what a company does. The local telco, who had the vision to say, hey, we're in this business, but we don't know enough yet, we need to learn more. These people got behind it, and as did the cities, the kuntas locally got behind this. And at the beginning of a 4-year project, it looked pretty tough. And what I'm not stating here is this is amazing. What I am stating is it's a great story. So I think it's important that we tell that story. We also recognise that we learnt a lot from it. We made a lot of mistakes, but the good thing is we are 4 years down the line, wiser, and we're doing things now that have learnt from those mistakes. So I start with a quick video, and we just hope that it runs and we get some volume. I think the presenter guy can hear it, no problems. So maybe he'll fill us in.
With multi-million euro stoppages in the paper machines, then who better to sweep in and take advantage than the data center industry? Let's take a look in here, shall we? This former paper storage warehouse has been redeveloped to house 2 companies. The first is the Finnish government's CSC, IT Center for Science. And what do? Well, they're a non-profit provider of IT support and resources for academia, research institutes, and companies. Impressed? You should be, because inside one of the most eco-efficient data centers in the world live these boxes of wonders, 2 of the world's latest supercomputers. No, they don't give you superpowers. Yes, I'm sure. Go on, move along. CSC decided to build their high-capacity, super-efficient data center here because of low operational costs, ultra-reliable power delivery, and the ecologically and economically attractive power. And over here we have CSC's neighbor, Herman IT, who provides data center infrastructure and co-location services. By implementing the same systematic analysis used by the nuclear power industry, Herman IT's industrial approach to the data center business allows them to use innovative and cost-effective methods to ensure availability of service to their customers. In this way, they can cleverly monitor their infrastructure hardware and replace it exactly when needed, rather than waiting for it to break or just swapping it out regularly just in case it might fail. Clever, right? Yeah, just don't tell them or they'll get all smug. The key to this site is readiness for expansion. The entire infrastructure is there and ready to go. Look over there. Those are Herman IT's partners, IBM and Absolute, working on the IBM Spectre cloud-based service model. And who's in this building then? What? You can't tell us. And what about over there? Well, we can see there are other exciting things going on, but we'll have to wait and see what they are. So, what makes this location so special? Well, for starters, it's being fed by 3 hydroelectric power stations and a biomass boiler on site. So that's greener than Kermit the Frog's butt and self-sufficient up to 110 megawatts. Add to that the electrical infrastructure that made the paper-making process bulletproof, plus a national grid connection of up to 340 megawatts, and you have one of the most reliable power delivery systems ever built, which lets data center companies reduce their reliance on backup generators and uninterruptible power supplies. And best of all, it's already there, so nobody has to start building it from scratch. Okay, thanks for watching.
Okay, some of that video you've seen before, just very quickly in a nutshell. Invest in Kainuu, and this event today, incidentally, is not all about Kainuu, it's about the national proposition and moving the business case higher up the pyramid. But just as with all cases, I want to highlight one of the success cases, and maybe earlier in Vattenfall's presentation, you heard that there are a number of other locations in Finland that fit these criteria to deliver scaled, high-scale projects. So this is how it happened. Invest in Kainuu were involved in the early stages of attracting investors. It's a basic one-stop shop, but relatively high level. When you break down into the business case, the objective is to put the potential investor in contact with the actual case owner, not to act as some kind of middleman filtering out and playing a secret game, but introduce the two as soon as possible to start talking business. It took a while to do this. There were some challenges, and quite realistically, what actually happened in the end was a little bit different to what was going to happen at the beginning, but ultimately the business case started to step forward, and again, we learned some lessons from that. I move on to that very fast. We have a customer proposition, and it's basically, they pick the phone up, and instead of arriving at an airport in a remote part of Finland and thinking the only person I can talk to is the taxi driver, there is a one-stop shop where they know that they can talk to this organisation, and we know who's necessary to make contact with, what are the incentives, what are the business cases, what are the low-hanging fruits, and actually how to make things move forward, and who might be the business case owners that you need to move and meet as fast as possible. I'm going to introduce you now, because so far I could be accused that this is sales and marketing and sales and marketing. Let's have a look at the business case, let's look who came and why they came, and let you hear it rather from me, from the gentlemen themselves. I'm going to introduce you first to Kimmo Koski from CSE.
Thank you very much. Does this work? Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. So just for curiosity, how many of you know what CSE is actually doing or have heard something about it? Okay, it's good, quite many hands. I was worried if nobody raises a hand, especially because a couple of you are working at CSC. So anyway, but quite many hands did not raise. So we are actually, you already saw in the presentation some information about us, so I'm not going to go deep in there. I would just say that, okay, we are traditionally have been working with the universities and polytechnics quite intensively in the scientific and non-scientific ICT services and e-infrastructure such as supercomputers, data, and so on. And more we are also doing this work with the culture side, like museums, archives, libraries, and also in the future and already now quite much with government and also the business and industry. So that's about the CSC. Here is some of our products and so on, from software development until resources, high-end computing resources. But one of the reasons why we are in Kajaani, or why actually in a couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, I mean time flies, it might be even more, but so we started to think about is that now when we are running a high-end supercomputing system, which actually is very energy intensive, so you're talking about megawatts of power for a single supercomputer usually, or something like that. So we thought that in order to have a scalable environment, it's not necessarily a good idea or even feasible or cost efficient to grow here in our premises. So we started to look for robust industry buildings around Finland, and it would require more than 5, 6, 7 minutes that I have time here to explain this whole process. I mean, it's kind of a story for 2 weeks, but I mean, and finally, from quite a many of very good locations, we ended up in Kajaani. And now we have been running there in production for 1.5 years, a bit more. I mean, January last year we brought the first systems there, and then something like 2 years ago we actually opened the center. So there is already some experience about it, and we are actually more than happy there. So that's why I think it's safe for these Kainuun Etu people to bring me here to tell you, because happy customer at the moment, and soon tell you why. Here are some figures. I mean, when you are talking about petabytes of disk, and now actually this week we accepted the largest supercomputer in Northern Europe, and actually one of the biggest in Europe, to this Cray machine with 1.7 times petaflop system. So don't care about these figures, but anyway I would say that it's a huge system for the Finnish Research and Science, and actually it passed the acceptance test, several weeks acceptance test yesterday, so you will hear more about it next week. But that's one of the resources there. But when you are talking about such a large infrastructures, then you really start to count how much you pay for electricity and where do you keep these systems and so on. And the volumes are going to grow in the future too. So why we are in Kajaani, there is one of the reasons is this PUE figure, the electricity usage in our air-conditioned 1.05, 1.06 is, I think, I've never seen a lower figure anywhere if you don't calculate the reuse of the heat. If you really, and this is actually not estimated or calculated, it's measured for 1 year. This means summer is also included. So basically, when we want to cool down the systems, we open the windows. So that's usually so easy. But I mean, sometimes, unfortunately, we have these extreme weather conditions, like 30 degrees nowadays, also in summer in Finland, even in Kainuu, by the way. So sometimes we need to use these cooling machines. But it's a very cost-effective. And if you think about that, in some of the older centers, you saw there figures like 1.1 and 1.2. And modern data centers can do very well also everywhere else. But I mean, compared with these the current existing older ones, you might cut your electricity consumption, for example, with 50% or 80%. So it really matters to us. Also, some other reasons why these kind of paper mills are quite good for this purpose is well, you see here reliability, for example. When we went to this to talk to these people in the UPM, asking them, for example, because sometimes the reliability is a problem in our kind of environment, that what is it reliable, so it's how can you guarantee it? They didn't quite understand the question, because I think it was a very black moment in their life when was it 1982, when there was a 5-minute electricity breakdown in this place. So that gives a kind of an impression that, okay, well, I would say that we managed to make one after we came. So, but in every 30 years, if there is a one break, it's something that we have not really got used to in this area where we have a scientific computing, where you are somehow looking for the extremes of the environment in general, and that usually brings some unreliability. So this is the most reliable place where I ever seen this kind of environment, and also some other very easily guessable advantages what we have been found there. But so the reason why I say we are more than happy is, for example, is this 1.05. That's one part of the reason, because we were actually looking for 1.2 or getting to 1.2, and it's actually 10% or even more than 10% better than we were expecting, and it's direct savings for us. So. Okay, then I was asked as a final thing is also to highlight, okay, so now I told you a bit what CSC is and why we are in Kajaani. So what is the future in this? I mean, we are now talking about Finland as the promised land for data centers. So I don't think Finland gains much, or it's not the major thing if we get all the machines installed here who are using this electricity. Okay, the electricity companies can make a good profit, but after all, I mean, running a center like ours, if you think when you build it, you use maybe some tens, well, sometimes 50 or 60 persons, maybe building a center. When you run it, it's only a handful of people that can take care of it, so it's not a very big employer. But the thing that one of the Digitize tries to do, and also seminars like this, and many players also among here in the audience. We are looking for building an ecosystem around this data center. So this is just the base. I mean, you need to have some base, but it enables a lot of other things. And here are some examples. You can find more if you wish. So co-location, hosting or research infrastructures. For example, a couple of years ago we were competing for CERN, the nuclear center in Geneva, which most of you know from these accelerators. So they were outsourcing their computing, and we were actually competing for that. Unfortunately, lost it to Budapest, but we were kind of a second in this 17. This was quite open evaluation because every country had a representative there. But these kind of things, there will be more and more research infrastructures and other infrastructures who are thinking about placing their systems somewhere where there is cooler or less, better cost efficiency and so on. Well, then this also, of course, we need to have research development around these topics, energy and let's say environmental research, applications. We are now already serving cloud services. When the cost base is very competitive, then actually the cloud services are also competitive and so on. Education, Finland aims to be the most have the best education in the world in the in year 17 or something like that. If we are able to educate the best data center people and these who are working with this ecosystem, then we are doing fine. There is a lot of these kind of activities done in Kajaani Polytechnics, for example, University of Applied Sciences. Manufacturing, ABB and other manufacturers here also present are making these systems. And one of my favorite things is thoughts or the kind of visions is that maybe one day we will have export products. So if you don't get these people to come here to bring their systems, maybe some consortium with all these kind of things can make a turnkey solution, export a data center to Southern Korea, for example. So there are a lot of possibilities you can do around the data center. I think today here we should explore those and discuss those and make all kind of activities around this topic and find ways to make money out of these kind of concepts. Okay, so I finally stop here. Here are some of these pictures. So already, you know, a supercomputer is a nice device. You can, if you pay enough, you can also select the covers. You know, this is a Nordic Northern Lights here. It's this called. So it's unfortunately it's in the room. It's not visible, but. So and here the names were invented by the school kids. There was a competition there. The one with less hair is working for CSC, and these smaller ones are the school kids, unless you notice otherwise. So anyway, thanks. I think this was my part.
Thank you, Kimmo. So you have the anchor tenant. The anchor tenant's made the first move, and you have to look how that ecosystem can translate into local business. How local business can benefit not only from the decision made by the anchor tenant and the first case to make the decision, but how can you gain knowledge and gain business cases locally. And the next is to introduce from Herman IT, Jani Moilanen, who will talk about the activities from the local telco.
Okay. Hello all. How this work? Okay. So my name is Jani Moilanen, and business development is in my responsibility in Herman IT. First couple of words, Carl, give the background. So Herman IT is established in 2011, but we have a long background, roots more than 100 years. From the local teleoperator Kainuun puheenosuuskunta. And what we are offering is the data center, co-location and capacity services. Why we are in business, I don't say why we are in Kajaani, we were born in Kajaani. But why in this business? This business area was identified as one of the emerging businesses in Finland and in Nordics. And as mentioned, one major step was the CSC move to decide to establish operations in Kajaani. And in Herman IT point of view, also very important step or issue was that we were able to create a strategic partnership with IBM that enabled us to this new business area. Of course, the infrastructure in Kajaani is unique. And that was also one important point that was identified, as Kimmo Koski mentioned. We can turn this former paper mill infrastructure to serve these critical data center infrastructures. And when you combine global best practices, global technology, data center technology from IBM, we saw that we have a very interesting and attractive package, not for today's requirements, but also and especially for the future. And of course, the area to reinforce around the business area, former paper mill site, in our perspective, it allows fast and unlimited scalability for the data center business. And what Carl also mentioned in the beginning, the one important thing is also that there is a strategic support from the Finnish government, but also very strong local support. So the Kajaani and Kainuu region has chosen this data center business as one of the core development areas. And we have, as a local Kajaani and Kainuu region, but also the companies, we have invested a lot to create platform to develop this business forward. And of course, in our owner's point of view, this was a natural expansion for local teleoperator as a business point of view. The future. I'm sure that there has been something discussion in this event, what is the future of the data centers. We see it this way. Almost every day there is growing interest to locate data center outside the metropolitan areas. Government is supporting this strongly. The one trend is also, in the same time, the data center facilities are growing. So the volumes are increasing, space is increasing, densities are increasing. And via this trend, also the requirements, the operational and actually the design and build requirements are shifting towards heavy industry standards. And of course, the security, sustainability, and costs are driving data centers to the new locations. How we see Herman IT in this picture? We have a unique infra. I would say we have a 6-9 electricity reliability with extreme cost efficiency that based on the industrial cost structure. It means that we can provide the cost benefits from the very big scale data center to the medium scale data centers. 3 meg data center, you save 1 million per year in electricity compared to some metropole. And of course, the sustainability part, we are utilizing the infrastructure what we have in hands, meaning buildings and utilities. And when you combine the efficient processes, green, local energy with the excessive utilization, in our perspective, this is the sustainability. And this is not a different thing than cost. Cost and sustainability is the same thing in our point of view. And of course, as mentioned earlier, there is space to expand and we have capability to expand fast. And of course, in the Kajaani as an area, strong, heavy industrial expertise available to design, operate, and maintain these big data center facilities in the future. So in a few words, we see the future very interesting. That was actually all. Kiitos.
Thank you, Jani. So to continue the story, we have the anchor tenant, we have the local operator, and I have to say, in complete recognition, thanks to also the help from our next speaker, the learning curve in Kajaani has been exponential, me included, the whole team here included. We have gone from 5 years ago a situation where it was difficult to have a conversation with us about the subject to a point now actually where we can lead the subject. And that's basically down to the fact that we have an ecosystem operating. These guys are not meeting each other for the first time with me twisting their arms to come and talk together. This is something that's an ongoing process as an ecosystem. And as we all know in business, there are advantages from critical mass, there are advantages from cost efficiency and scale. And that's what we're starting to see also growing in Kajaani. Next, we have to say that we have the local operator. And of course, we want something going on inside the local operator, so he has a business case. And I'll hand you over to Jukka, and he will make very clear what's happening and why.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. And good day all. My name is Jukka. I'm from IBM, and I'll tell you first why we decided in 2011 to go and work in Kajaani, because we were not born there. But for us, it was, of course, timing was right. We had been following the industrialization of data center market in Finland, and we had visited quite a few sites. But our site selection, it was not only to look for the optimal data center site in Finland. It was of course that, but it was also to find right kind of partners for us. And in Kajaani, the strength, besides the side that we have heard from Jani and Kimmo, was the existing early form of digitized ecosystem, of course CSC's site selection earlier, and especially with Herman IT and Absolute as a partner with capabilities in other areas of IT, the value add, so the management layer. So this was important to us, because in our business case from the start was of course to find a partner to combine our capabilities in this growing data center market, but also to offer local managed services, cloud-based managed services of metropolitan area. So the relevant ecosystem, and to mention also the local School of Applied Sciences with running studies with our specialists. So we found a strategic partner in Kajaani besides the optimal data center location. And straight from 2011, we were designing and building a data center for our partner, but we were also designing and building a local managed services concept with concentrating on fast delivery, cloud-based services, of course building on top of our reference architectures, and to differentiate from other cloud services that we have, and our competition was of course local skills and local know-how, able to provide management services in Finnish language. So we built this Spectre service. I have a few examples from our existing Spectre customers. Vahto Group, a traditional industrial company We provide basically the whole IT outsourcing from Spectri. Acando is a partner in who do application management and provide IT services, but do not concentrate on infrastructure side. So we are a perfect partner for them with IBM Spectri. And Finkino is a good example of web ticket web service, so selling tickets from Spectri web store. And also maybe to highlight a value in IBM Spectri is the connectivity, of course, being in Finland and providing MPLS and point connections with all major operators in Finland, which is good for many services and many requirements from customers. So IBM Spectri, it's really, it's not only local services, it's mostly local services, but we do bring our global skills to kind of spice it up and to make it the best possible offering in the market. So we combine our global security services and our service desk functions and our local IBM skills. So together we are the Spectri team, and we have very good managed services. How I and how IBM sees the future of Kajaani, if I go now a little off from the Spectri service in large scale, and why we were following the market in from 2008 already, and making decisions then in 2011. But we were sensing and saw the shift in these new cloud-based service providers that are running cloud-borne applications and cloud-borne services. Notice that almost all of them are not latency. They are not they don't have latency issues. The services are designed that way, and noticed that globally these cloud service providers are looking for large, like discussed earlier today, warehouse size data centers, which are growing bigger and bigger of metropolitan area. So and also we have noticed that these service providers, because the IT infrastructure and the cloud infrastructure is changing in very rapid pace, they have requirements, different kind of requirements for facility. One good example is, of course, density going up and up all the time. We see Renforsin Ranta in Finland and globally definitely one of the best places to offer these warehouse-size data center services through our partner Herman IT, and for the whole site itself. 340 megawatts. It sounded crazy in 2011. Now it doesn't sound such crazy anymore. Maybe in the future we see data centers even in that scale, like we have heard today, with the big or bigger than small data coming. Of course, have to mention once more the electricity cost and real estate costs being a lot lower than in Helsinki metropolitan area. And maybe one thing I just noticed in Kimmo's presentation, and maybe that's a discussion point for our panel, is that when we are talking about green data centers, we look after PUE, but we should globally look at the attribute called fuel to server or fuel to load, meaning that starting from the power plant and its efficiency going to the server, And what we studied already in 2011, it's ridiculously high in Kajaani. It's a very acceptable, a good level to being 30% the efficiency from the power plant, or when you start creating power somewhere to the server. And in Kajaani, in our calculations, it's somewhere around 75%. So that's we can challenge any site with that number. Thank you.
Thanks, Jukka. So if I invite you gentlemen come back to stage, I'm going to introduce somebody else. There's one, we've talked about an ecosystem and a team. If you guys want to come back up here, then we can hit some questions. I don't want to forget UPM's contribution here, because in the background, UPM have been acting as a landlord that is learning fast, and again, very much like the Finnish government is putting in place the precedents to make these things happen, exactly the same has been happening, and that isn't just a plug, that's been part of that learning process. So again, the ecosystem formed is not just the business cases in there, but it's also the landlord, the city, and somebody else that I'm going to introduce. This is Chris Miller. Chris has been acting as effectively what is today Digitice's client principal. So he's getting out globally, pressing skin with customers, and has been involved with all of us for the last 4 years. Long journey, which is why he looks like this for a 17-year-old.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah, what I'd just like to say is that there are lots of countries that are desperate to repeat what's happening in Finland and Sweden and the Nordics. They're going to struggle because you probably heard the expression, information is power, and then it iterated to knowledge is power. Actually, power is power. And having large industrial scale electricity infrastructure that's been built over many years and is solidly reliable, is based on renewable energy, means that, guess what? Data can travel at the speed of light. So, okay, there's certain restrictions in terms of IT at the moment, but you could be on the moon as far as the data's concerned, so you're going where the electricity is. So, Kajaani, other sites that UPM have in Voika, Koski, other paper mill sites, industrial sites in the Nordics, in Finland and Sweden, means that there's a big play for the data center industry in the Nordics for the foreseeable future. But what I would like to say about what's happened in Kajaani, that one of the real successes about Kajaani is that it's been a combined effort with local, regional and national government. You've got a government agency, a CSC. There's a great expression that you eat your own dog food or drink your own champagne. So when you get certain countries saying, well, come to our country, it's the best data center location in the world, well, prove it. Do something yourselves. And in Kajaani, they did. The government did something. Okay, they chose a very good site, and they worked in partnership with the private sector. So UPM, the landlord, worked hard. So that combination of government and private sector working together, it works sometimes, and it has here. The other thing that's also absolutely crucial is the ability to upscale the knowledge within those areas. So the Kajaani site's been working with the local university, with IBMs and other companies to start creating knowledge clusters around the data center, which will benefit the region and the country going forward. I can tell you now that China, for example, they're looking at this site because looking at Finland, because they want to replicate in China what's been happening here. And that's great news, because hopefully that's going to bring investment from the Chinese too. Okay, so that's enough of that. What I'm saying is power, go where the electricity is, and make sure that you've got national, local, and regional government support together with local and national and international companies. Any questions to the chaps on the board from CSC, from IBM or Herman IT? Any questions from their previous presentations, please? Anybody? Okay, I've got a question for Herman IT.
You remember this is Finland. You have to prepare the questions for yourself usually. Yes.
Yeah. Any questions? No. Okay. Well, I've got one for Herman IT. What capacity have you got available for data center business in Kajaani today and going forward?
Our facilities are built to meet 10 meg capacities. Now immediately available, I would say a couple of hundred kilowatts. That's the situation at the moment. As mentioned, very fast, expandable, and as Jukka mentioned, more than 300 megs in the site. So there is where to scale.
Excellent. And from CSC's point of view, how much are you using now, and what do you see the future is for Kajaani and for Finland on the back of what you're doing in Kajaani?
Yeah, so first I want to correct something. We are not a government agency, we are a limited company owned by the Finnish state, so it's a flexible model. So limited company means also that we can do things quickly. Well, you asked about the capacity, so at the moment we are, well, now when the new supercomputers this autumn will be in production, altogether I think we are close to 2 megawatts, not all in Kajaani, but most of that in Kajaani. We have also data centers here in the metropolitan area. So there's some kind of growth plans which depends on how this business goes. So towards to 3 or 4, quite moderate anyway, unless there are co-location decisions or partnership decisions, or we get these research infrastructures, etc., when it easily can come then to tens of megawatts. But we are prepared for, let's say, all kind of scenarios in that sense. So it's only this timing question. So if you want to go there with 20 megawatts, then you will need some more time. If you want to go there immediately now, then we will find out the way, for example, to lend you or hire you some capacity from our existing ones. And meanwhile, when you are building your own there, besides, for example, if you want to build your own data center there, then you can slowly transfer to use that. So it's flexible.
Thank you. And from an IBM perspective, I take it you're obviously very happy with what's happening with Herman IT. Do you have any additional plans within Kajaani to work further with Herman IT?
Yeah, definitely. We have kind of 2 routes to market, if you will. Is the managed services concept, and we are making hybrid plans with our other clouds with this Spectre service, so we can even propose and offer services where we run a local cloud for the customer in Finland and help them in their other locations worldwide with soft layer cloud. And also the other one is providing design and build services for Herman IT for their co-location services. So we have designed together a model where we can build very fast models in big scale, in megawatt scale.
Okay, so just make it clear that the site in Kajaani has multiple megawatts of capacity available and hundreds of megawatts going forward. Are there any other questions from the audience, or any from you want to bring any further up yourselves?
No, so let's try first the audience. So it's yeah, everything is so clear that there is no need for the question.
Yeah.
I've got a question. This is an interesting but new partnership, if you understand what I mean. It's 3 companies doing different things, HPC, capacity services, and stuff a little bit higher up the pyramid also, combining together. What do you feel, as an ecosystem, the differences in your businesses bring to strengthening the ecosystem itself? My hint, in case that wasn't clear, is it's been very clear working with CSC that their involvement with the local university and AMK is leading to growth business cases and education and experience and translating something to a local value. That's very clear. And that is ultimately to the benefit of perhaps Herman IT, who in the future will need to be recruiting somebody. So that's one example where your growth and your strength of what's going on in CSC helps Herman IT. My question is, how do you see your own, I asked all 3, how do you see your own competencies and specialist areas bringing some benefit to the region and perhaps to the other companies in the ecosystem?
Yeah, if I start, for example, well, of course we are happy, we target to bring benefits to the region and also through our own activities, and maybe increase our activities in Kainuu. There is a very good base for that because we're working good collaboration with Kajaani Polytechnics, for example. But we are a Finnish company, national company, so in our case, if any other part in Finland can also get benefits from there, including the other paper mill areas. So this is of course very good. So we try to see this in a national way. So CSC is a state company, so our target is that Finland succeeds, and this kind of collaboration can help it. So I think the important thing is the last slide I was saying that we need to build an ecosystem. We should stop so much talking about the hardware or these kind of maintaining system. We should bring all kind of things around it, activities and business around it, and then it should also include everybody in Finland, not only in Kajaani.
Thanks, Kimmo. Jani?
Okay, of course, the one part is that we will bring the critical mass via the data center where you can build the ecosystem as CSC around of the data center. One special case, for example, what we are implementing is that we are actually combining, as mentioned in the presentation, the IPM knowledge, the IT knowledge, what the data center are today and what those data centers are in the future, what are the requirements in the future. And we're combining this to the heavy industry best practices, and this is something what also the cluster can utilize in the future, bringing together two different industries actually.
I get that, and that goes to what Kimmo was saying earlier about export product. That becomes an export product by knowledge. And Jukka, I think one thing I can say in advance, having IBM in Finland adds value to every other potential customer or current customer in Finland, but having them in Kajaani accelerates the attractiveness. That's clear.
For sure, but for us, we benefit daily. We have benefited from 2011 with these two, UPM, the school in Kajaani. We are benefiting from their students, who are many of them formerly students now working in IBM Spectri. We of course we try to give as well. We try to contribute in ecosystem. For example, with the school running courses where IBM specialists teach some of the topics. I think it's a strength that you cannot build quickly the ecosystem in Kajaani. It's like I mentioned in my presentation, for us it's a bullet point like the perfect site for data center. You cannot replicate the ecosystem. It takes years to build it, and we have strength already in this one.
So I won't thrash that, because so far it's been relatively obvious that this is kind of a Kajaani pitch. But hey, if we've got a success story, let's talk about what happened. The reason I asked that particular question, and something I would highlight, and I'm going to throw back as a quick question, I think in the early days, in terms of words such as sustainability and reliability, the immediate assumption was that that referred to power, to cooling. And the reason I asked that question is that data center business has a much bigger question of reliability and sustainability, and that comes from critical mass. And that comes from the fact that there are activities going on and are safe, and making it a safe place in which to operate. That's what I was seeing. So you all gave me the components, but the big picture from that is it's a sustainability and reliability issue, that there is a critical mass in that location. It is not a greenfield with 2 electricity pylons and somebody saying, in the future this could be a data center. It's a ecosystem relying that provision of services, security guys who understand. It's a sustainability issue. Yeah. Sorry, Kimmo.
Yeah, but I mean, now we have been focusing here, I think, a bit too much also for this system level. Let's say we're talking about savings of electricity, which is of course a very good thing. But I would say it's just added bonus. I mean, the real benefit is if we are able to, consolidate services and consolidate servers and applications on top of that and get to the virtualized environments. Examples like, for example, in the Finnish state now there is this activity to convert almost 200 separate data centers around Finland to smaller figure and consolidate the data centers. Okay, when you move from the old data centers to new ones, you get this electricity savings. Okay, maybe some hundreds of thousands, if it's a lot, maybe $1 million a year. But if you are able to consolidate the services and actually run in a smaller number of servers, Sorry, less server sales, but anyway. So, but use virtualization and actually saving overlapped work, licensing, etc. I would bet in the state level you would save tens or hundreds of millions a year. And same applies to universities, polytechnics, everybody who is running. And then when you grow it to the international companies, like IBM's, HP's, and the others who are running these data centers, then I think there's a lot of thinking that where to place it, because then you don't want to get only the electricity savings, you want to get the savings when you are changing your processes. And we should attack this part, and this requires competence. It doesn't come by selling the electricity and the very, very good PUE. It requires a competence, and then you need the training system and so on. So it actually brings up the whole ecosystem in one way or another, and everybody here in this room is some way linked with one part at least of this ecosystem.
Exactly. I hope that was interesting. I hope that was useful. I apologise if there was some unadulterated sales pitch in there, but we're ambitious. We want to grow in Kajaani. We are going to grow in Kajaani, but Finland's business case is growing here too. It's a damn attractive country right now in terms of this business case, and many of the people in the other room here have to benefit from that.
Yeah.
So
there is quite a good baseball team also close to Kajaani, so it's
yes, that's true.
That's also it's a lot of benefits, you know.
That's very good, and there's a bar called Pitkä Tunneli, which I strongly recommend anybody to visit, which reminds me of walking into the Star Wars bar, you know, the bit where Han Solo walks in and there's the music in the background, and everyone goes quiet. Because if you're not a Kajaani person and you walk into that bar, it goes quiet. And that's tough for me. So I would like to say thank you, gentlemen. That has been excellent. I hope everyone's benefited. And please say thank you to these guys for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.